Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new day of WCS America Premier League round of 32 action. Today is Tuesday the 12th of August and we are getting ready to hop into Group G. We're getting closer and closer towards the end of our round of 32. I am of course Kevin de Kooi, also known as Rotterdam, and with me is the one and only, the legend himself, Mr. Nate. Nate, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great today. I'm super excited because we've got TaeJa in this group. As you guys all know, I'm a Terran fanboy. It's my job to push the Terran agenda, and I'm very happy that we have such a good player in this group today. Although, he hasn't ever really had much luck with WCS.
No, I mean, compared to his teammate that's also in the group, Nate, I really wouldn't go that far because his teammate has been even a little more unlucky. Either way, the round of 32 has been so much fun so far this season. Every single day pretty much has been a blast. We had plenty of upsets, and well, if today one of the two Liquid brothers is not going to make it out, that would be an upset as well. Let's just take a look at all the players that have already advanced. You guys can see, of course, we already wrapped up the first 6 groups. Today it's time for Group G. As you guys see, TaeJa, Jigua, Hero and Hendralisk. We have still one more group to be played out tomorrow as well. That's going to be Group H, of course. And yesterday we started this week with a very cool group where I would say our favorites made it out, Nate, but it's still crazy to see a GSL Codex champion just drop out like that in the round of 32.
Yeah, it was some pretty interesting results. I think this whole season we've had a lot of upsets, a lot of young rising stars as well, and probably the most diverse round of 16 lineup that we've had, I think, ever in WCS America round of 16.
Yep, and in the past it has often been like 14 Koreans, 15 Koreans, maybe 1 Chinese. This time, guys, we have a little bit of everything. We have a Mexican player. Well, he's not there yet, but it's possible that he's going to be there. We have Canadians, we have Chinese, we have Koreans, we have the real Americans. It's a little bit of everything. We even have an Australian for the first time since I think 2013 season 1. Of course, a lot of love to I guess. Either way, the players are already ready, so we're gonna kick things off soon. But of course, let's take a look at the actual matchups as we already introduced today's group. We have the 2 Liquid brothers, but they won't go up against each other first, as it's going to be Liquid TaeJa against our very own near and dear Henry, also known as Hendralisk. Nate, it's a tough one.
It's a very tough one for Hendralisk. I think TaeJa, all the stats right there kind of speak for themselves. He's a top Terran player. He's WCS rank 5th in the world, and that's no small feat. He's pretty much already got his ticket booked to BlizzCon for the Grand Finals. He's like, is it even possible for me to drop out at this point?
It would be very difficult. I can't actually... there's someone very smart on Team Liquid who can do the math about that. Like last year there was this really cool thread when in regards of the WCS ranking. And with all the possible results, if this guy gets like top 16, if he gets top 8, if he gets top 4. I'm not sure if a thread like that is live already. I think it's kind of hard to do it when we don't even know which tournaments are going to be played, who is going where, etc, etc. But it would be very difficult, Nate. Currently in rank 5, TaeJa is looking good to make his second appearance at BlizzCon, and of course he wants to go all the way, but what he also wants is to win WCS America. We keep talking about it. TaeJa goes all around the world, wins tournaments everywhere, but he doesn't win WCS America.
No, it's like the one thing he can't do.
No, it's
really crazy.
Actually.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be said about it because we see some also really crazy matches like I guess the saga of TaeJa versus Major, which somehow isn't happening this season, not yet at least.
Yep. Of course, we have a second match of the day as well, and it's going to be our very own Liquid's Hero, as he will try to get his revenge against Jigua. If you guys wonder, revenge? Why revenge? What do these two guys have in common? Well, earlier this year in the round of 32 of WCS America, Jigua was responsible for eliminating Hero of WCS America. So, you know, when you look at this group on paper, Nate, you say Hero and TaeJa are going to advance, right? Well, that's what we said in the past, and Jigua has already eliminated Hero once. He's a dangerous Zerg. Hero definitely didn't forget about that series. So it's not going to be easy for him, but once more, the Liquid boys are the favorite. We would be lying if we would tell the people at home anything else.
That's true. This group is basically a test of mettle for Jigua and Hendralisk. These two guys are going to try everything humanly possible. And, you know, we've seen some, I would say, especially in the non-Korean scene, see some Zerg players able to trade blows with players like Hero. Kane is the first player that comes to mind. He's actually taken, what, 2 series off Hero recently? Or like
I mean, he took a lot of maps. I hosted a show match where he played against Hero. He lost 3-5, but he did defeat Hero in Destiny 1, I believe it was.
Yeah, I casted the game. It was actually very clean, good play from him, too, which is why I think it's important to mention, because Shigua and Hendralisk can both be a bit crazy, but they can both play the mid late game well. I don't expect like crazy levels of aggression from them.
Yeah. Well,
maybe in ZVT.
Yeah, we have plenty of time to talk about that. Either way, we want to hear what you guys think about today's group. Do you guys think that Hero will be able to make it to WCS America round of 16 for the first time in 2014? That sounds crazy because 2013 was such a good year for Hero. He won Season 1 of WCS America. He made it to the top 8 of Season 3, collected a lot of points. And even this year, this has not been a bad year for Hero. He still won an Intel X3 Masters in Cologne. It feels long ago, and yeah, it's a couple of months ago, of course. You know, it wasn't the start of the year, but still, it's not been a bad year for Hero. Just ups and downs, kind of the story of his career. But he's really due for a big up when it comes to WCS America because Hero needs those WCS points. You guys saw it as well. I believe currently sitting at rank 19, 20-ish. He needs a good run if he wants to go to BlizzCon Day. This is, you know, we often say like this is a really important day for X or Y. If Hero wants to go to BlizzCon, this is probably the most important day of the year. Yeah. At least the start of the most important day.
We're running out of time to get anything else done. And of course, I know there's some of you who really like Hero. Probably picking him for your fantasy league as well. Well, guess what? This is probably one of the more difficult groups. I personally picked TaeJa.
I think I went with TaeJa as well, but I'm not even 100% sure, Nate. I have to double check. I did get my fantasy team for Europe, and I must say Europe is hard to call.
Europe
these groups
is very difficult to call.
Yeah, like I felt like very confident about my picks in WCS America, and we had a couple of upsets. I didn't have everything right, but man, Europe is hard to call. I actually have like no idea, and of course, you know, GSL Code S is always hard to call because you have all these monster Koreans and upsets has happened there since pretty much the start of Wings of Liberty. But yeah, I must say, like I think in the past I would have done a much better job in WCS Europe than I've done this time. But hey, maybe I actually do good. I mean, I did fill in my team, and maybe in a week or 3 when everything is settled, I actually can look back at my score and be like, not bad.
Did you pick Johan Merlo for your Europe team?
No. Sorry, Johan.
Poor Todd.
Hey, internet points are important. I hope that Johan makes it, but is second place. You know?
Abstract internet points are very important.
I think I picked. Did I pick Son or Bunny in that group? See, I don't even know anymore. Like that group is really hard to call.
I can't remember who I picked because it was too hard to call.
Yep. Either way, we are getting ready for our first series of the day. We want to hear from you. Hashtag WCS. Keep the tweets coming. Last night we've seen that plenty of you guys are using Twitter, and tweets can float rapidly.
Tweets can come really fast when crazy stuff happens. That's for sure.
Alrighty, so I'm letting TaeJa know I'm ready. Hendralisk is ready, so we can just go ahead and hop into our first series of the day. It's going to be a ZVT. I actually just had an O. Henry candy bar.
Oh, we're getting under the Canadian thing now.
I mean, like Hendralisk. I had an O. Henry.
It's like a double pun. Boom.
It was called an O. Henry.
That's pretty sick. I didn't even read it. I didn't even read it.
Now, Hendralisk is a player that some of you guys out there might not be that familiar with, but he's been around for a while. Had his ups and downs as well, but especially when it comes to WCS Challenger, he has impressed me twice a lot. He is a ZVZ is a little bit, it's out there, you know, it's a little different than most Zergs. But in Season 2, he was able to defeat Scarlet 3-0. I think that's the last time I've seen Scarlet lose a ZVZ period. He's been so good in that matchup, but Hendralisk was still able to win 3-0. And qualifying for WCS Premier League this season, he defeated Soppy 3-1, and I think that's almost as impressive because I really have, I hold Soppy up there. Like I think Soppy is extremely good and talented. So Hendralisk is not to be underestimated, but it's TaeJa. So what can we do? Either way, we can go ahead and hop into Nimbus. That's going to be our first game of the day. And Nate, take it away.
All right. Let me introduce my Terran buddies, Roddy. In the top right position, we have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. He's coming off a big wrist injury. His name is TaeJa.
You're touching on a very sensitive subject there, Nate. That's something that people have been talking about over the last few weeks. I believe TaeJa even skipped out on ACID Team Story Cup finals.
He skipped out on a few online cups in the last week as well. He just did not want to play. I know he tweeted out, his Team Liquid tweeted out, saying that basically doctor said he's got to cool it a little bit. Of course, TaeJa's had a couple of wrist injuries in the past, and I feel like it's important to mention because, it could play into his ability to actually play out this group and could lead to an upset.
Yep. But TaeJa dropping out in the round of 32, I do not believe that has ever happened. He has dropped out of the round of 16 once, but that's a long time ago, and I've definitely dropped out in the semi-finals or quarterfinals multiple times. Either way, for this Canadian, it would be one hell of an achievement if he's able to make it to the round of 16 in this very difficult group. It is Complexity's Hendralisk. We had the pleasure of spending some time with Hendralisk in the recent Battlegrounds Atlanta as he was there. He's a very quiet young man, especially if he drops out of the tournament. He takes it kind of personal. He wants nothing more than just to be successful in this beautiful game that we call StarCraft 2. But he's still a very funny, good dude, especially if he's in a good mood. And I would love to see him have some success. He's a very fun Zerg player to watch for the people who are not that familiar with him. In general, Nate, he does things a tiny bit different.
Yeah. I kind of said, like, as both play, you know, when I look at Hendralisk and Shigwa, they're both good at the mid-late game, but Hendralisk is definitely not afraid, I think, especially in this matchup, to throw out a little bit of craziness every now and again.
Yeah. Can you blame him, Nate? Because if I was a Zerg player and I would go up against TaeJa, the last thing I want to think of is a 44-minute macro game where we both are on 5 bases. It's like, no.
It's like, so Nathan, you got to play versus Zest tomorrow. You're going to go for a 50-minute game, right? And like,
no, probably Proxy Marauder, which I really don't like, but it's still my best chance.
Yeah, that's a good point. TaeJa instills fear, I would say, in the hearts of men.
So the first Reaper is out. It's going to be a single Reaper into Reactor. We're going to keep a close eye mostly on the build of Hendralisk, because TaeJa, we kind of expect him to do everything relatively standard. If he does something out of the ordinary, I'll be shocked. Hendralisk on the other end, Nate, I have the feeling that he is going to bring something special to the table. Hendralisk is also not the type of Zerg that will just brainlessly play 250 ladder games before this important day of Premier League and be like, all right, I'm ready. No, he definitely watches replays, he analyzes, and he tries to find a weakness, and then he tries to come up with a build that counters the opening or counters whatever he thinks that TaeJa is going to do. He's definitely a player that prepares a lot for a match like this. Yeah. And not just by, once more, like brainlessly playing a lot of games and working on mechanics. I think he's going to bring something special to the table.
I would like to see that. Problem is its difficulty. If TaeJa plays like as crisp and clean standard as he can, then I don't find, you know, it's like, well, how do you shake a guy up like this? But maybe...
Where's the weak spot in the concrete wall?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're going to have to spend a lot of time with a magnifying glass to find one on TaeJa, that's for sure.
You have to come in like a wrecking ball, Nate.
Hey man, we got our statistics here for Fantasy. Wow, for some strange reason, Rotterdam, TaeJa has the overwhelming majority, 89%.
Wow, this Terran player must be very good. Never heard of him.
I was gonna say. Apparently, he seems to have a small following on the internet.
8% for Heroes, so still a couple of Protoss believers out there. 1.47% for Hendralisk and 1.31 for Shigwa. So it's safe to say that if Shigwa ends up winning today's group, Nate, that would be the biggest upset of them all.
Yeah, I think 1.31% is the lowest we've ever had for one player, right?
I think so too.
Yeah, I think.
And we blame it all on TaeJa, not on Shigwa not being that good. Because Shigwa is actually very good. He has made it to the round of 16 twice already.
If you switch TaeJa with almost anybody else and put them in this group, suddenly I think people actually might be looking towards the other players a lot more.
And then suddenly some people might think like, Shigwa has defeated Hero once, he can probably do it again. So it's a pretty quick layer over here. It's a 6-minute layer for Hendralisk. Now this could mean many things, but above all is going to have to be careful. This Overlord is in a reasonable position. It's actually going to die though, but at least it won't die without seeing anything, Nate. It will see the amount of Marines, it will see the Hellions, it will see the Reaper. Roach Warren is going down. Do you think he wants to do like something crazy as a Roach Nidus, or am I like completely off right now?
He could start 2 evolution chambers and try to 1-1, but I think you're right with how fast this layer is. It's got to be Roach speed, Bane speed, attack. Like because he's getting a Thaling Nest, it theoretically could be Nidus, but that is just, you're really reaching to hoping to get a Nidus in on TaeJa. Like you know what I mean? It's like, well, this is a good play, but. Someone recently won a couple of big games with Niduses. I just don't think this map has enough hidden space for it. This drop comes in, and TaeJa already bringing the pressure. I love it. Medevac does escape.
Yep, but all the Hellions are going to swing into the main base, Nate. There are a lot of Zerglings on the way, but those Hellions getting the juicy shots off. And it's a barbecue party in game number 1. Hendralisk ends up losing a lot of drones, ends up losing a lot of his Zerglings, and whatever he wanted to do, Nate, he just got set back pretty far after losing 13 workers.
Yeah, that's There's a lot of drones to lose this early. It's going to be a Roach Baneling drop.
After losing 13 drones, it's going to be pretty hard to bring that one home.
With all the oh man, this is kind of nuts.
Like, Hendralisk is a crazy Zerg. That makes him so fun to watch. So it's really unfortunate that this just happened. I think otherwise it is a lot closer, and at least TaeJa will be caught off guard. From this point on, TaeJa also managed to save that medevac, by the way, with 6 HP. It's TaeJa, that's just gross. Do you really have to do that? At least give a man a chance. Let a couple of units die here and there.
Let him feel like he's inflicted some sort of mortal wound against you.
Ah, well. So he's gonna drone up, and then I guess just try to do this off 2 bases, and just get a lot of banelings, try to drop him.
He's got basically one punch that he can throw at this build. Like if you
yeah, but is it really much of a punch? I feel like it's more going to be like a sucker punch.
Yeah. Well, the problem with this build is if he doesn't, like, there's no transitioning out of this. There's no evolution chambers on the map.
No, exactly.
TaeJa has his upgrades on the way. TaeJa's going up to 6 or so barracks, and he's gonna have a crazy amount of production and lead in tech.
So TaeJa's looking for overlords with a spoiled Viking. He's like, hey, where does overlords at? This doesn't make any sense. I don't see a single overlord. So what I'm expecting is all these Zerglings to morph into banelings. He's making Hendralisk is making 7 roaches now, but I'm just a little afraid for our good old Henry that this is all going to hit a little bit late. There are a bunch of Widow Mines out, just 2 actually. Nidus is going down as well, Nate, so I wasn't that far off.
That's a real... you know, I actually have seen this before. Someone did this where they as they dropped, they Nidus, but I don't even know if it was this matchup though.
Well, all the overlords are in the left up side of the map. Hendralisk is living up to his reputation of being a very entertaining, good old Canadian Zerg. So what's the best case scenario? All the bio units run towards the Nidus and banelings are dumped on top of them? Is that what we're hoping for?
I'm not sure, Kev. This is really weird. Okay, the overlords are loaded. I think ideally you have to drop on top of the army, right? Like that's the only way to do this.
I mean, this roach count in the middle of the map is just not that huge right now.
Okay, look,
here we go.
When you see a bunch of overlords flying towards your army, you generally don't want to sit on them. I don't think he's going to be able to hit TaeJa with this.
Yep. OVs are, they do have the speed upgrade, but they're still not all that fast. A couple of banelings will be dropped. He's like, oh, that's not what I expected. I thought a few more roaches, perhaps. More overlords are being picked off, and so far it's safe to say that this is a disaster for Hendralisk, which is a little bit unfortunate, but just took too much damage from those Hylians and that very first drop of the game, as GG is called, and Liquid's very own TaeJa takes a convincing 1-0 lead on Nimbus.
Weird way for that game to start.
Yeah.
The Hellions got in. That medevac drop that TaeJa did was very fast. I actually really like that. Really good way to put on early pressure, because it kind of went for the standard, I would say, Holt Viking-esque opening with the later third base. But TaeJa just made it work. I don't know if there's too much else I can really say because he got into the main base of Hellions. And if you lose half your drones, as good of a player as you may be, there are very few situations where I'm going to say a Zerg player has much of a chance.
Losing 13 drones in that phase in the game is really painful, and he didn't just lose drones, he also lost a solid 20 links or so, as the links just had a very bad engagement, didn't have the surface area that they were looking for on top of those Hellions, so it all just took a little longer, and to add insult to injury, the medevac also got away with all those Marines that got away, so TaeJa pretty much lost nothing other than a few Hellions, and he really slowed Hendralisk down so incredibly much. Like, if this hits a solid 70, 80, 90 seconds quicker, there is a chance that this works. I think right now Hendralisk was just too thrown off. Yeah,
I agree. The thing is, a build like that, if you're allowed to get away with a build order like that as a Zerg player, TaeJa probably doesn't have that many Marauders, which, to be fair, he didn't really have a lot of Marauders. But then you have your Roaches with speed faster, so you don't have to put your whole army in Overlords. You can just run right up into their face and kill them with Roach Baneling, which I think is what Hendralisk wanted to do. But then you lose workers, and you're like, I'm not going to be able to make enough units to actually attack this guy head on, so I got to try something crazy. And Nidus and drop, I think, that's really ambitious.
Like in the end, the Nidus network didn't even really see daylight. Like, he got the Nidus, but he never really let it go.
He never actually got a Nidus down. Was also a big problem for that game.
I want to give a big shout out, of course, to everybody who's tuning in to the broadcast already. And we're giggling here a little bit because we see that you guys are having fun in Twitch chat. And that's really important to us as well. We want to have fun at the broadcast.
We want you guys to have as much fun as we are casting these games.
Exactly. It's important to us, and you guys are actually being funny. And you're behaving relatively well.
Behaving,
yes. That is awesome. Alrighty, so as soon as game number 2 is ready, we're going to go ahead and fire up merry-go-round as TaeJa is 1-0 over Hendralisk.
That's right. Merry-go-round. This matchup, really good for the same exact play that TaeJa just did, to be perfectly honest. I'd say an even better map for the play that Hendralisk just wanted to do, which means that we should get completely different build orders. Because it would make too much sense to do the same thing twice, Roddy.
Maybe a good old Roach Bane pre-layer, or maybe like just a fake third hatchery.
Who did the super fast Roach? It didn't work, if I recall correctly, but was it Scarlet? There was someone that did like a really fast Roach build that we casted recently.
Scarlet didn't play against Hard on Merry-Go-Round, or did she? I know there was someone out there, because I called it.
Their Overgrowth game, no, or something? It was a really, really fast...
okay, Overgrowth, Scarlet opened up with Roaches, and then
she went into Banelings. Then she went into Banelings. That was the game that she won, I think,
But there was also, very recently, there was a game, I guess we casted it at the Red Bull Battlegrounds.
Which one of the Zergs might have done it, though? DRG did it against Pole? Those were like the only... There actually weren't a lot of TvZs.
I think someone did it against MMA. I don't know. It's too much StarCraft. Lately, like, we have actually been casting StarCraft 8 days in a row.
That build. I want that build.
You want the Roach? Oh, you want the Roach or the Roach Bane? Or the Roach into Roach Bane?
You know what? Since we're playing, this is WCS America. All these guys play on the North American server. I want Roaches into Roach Bane. Because that's any good American would do.
Why?
Because man, this is America. You make up your mind on something and you stick to it. You say, I want to kill you with roaches, and if you don't kill the person with roaches, you build more roaches and you add banelings. That's the American way.
So the moral of the story is be persistent.
Exactly.
Alrighty.
Be very persistent and then lose.
TaeJa has been very persistent in winning tournaments all around the world, and of course, one of the only tournaments that's still missing on a super impressive list is WCS. He would love to win a championship. He came so close, made it to semifinals, even made it to the semifinals of a global finals last year. He went to BlizzCon, but BlizzCon didn't go good for TaeJa. Did he lose in the first round or in the second round last year? I think he lost against the strong Protoss in round 1.
Protoss?
I forgot who it was. It could have been actually. It could have been SOS that defeated TaeJa.
It might have been. I'm trying. I can only. For
or
some
it was
reason,
Deer defeated TaeJa, if I recall correctly.
Deer, Duck took out quite a few big names before they went down. I think Duck was like the most surprising one there.
Duck defeated Innovation. Nobody in the world thought it was possible, other than Red Eye. Red Eye was the only one in the world that called Duck over Innovation, and he's like, I told you guys. It's like, Paul. Even when you're right, you were still wrong, just for saying that.
There's like that guy who picked in like the Alicia group. We thought Alicia was gonna get out first, and someone was like, "Well, you know what? I'm not gonna pick Alicia. I'm gonna pick Aigas because I don't like Alicia. I don't like Protoss." Then he wins, and suddenly he's like, "Well, because my ESL fantasy pick, I was in the only 3% of people that picked Aigas. Clearly, I'm smarter than everybody else now at StarCraft." It's like, well, it was a good pick, but
in the end, it was still a bad pick. Sometimes, even when you're right, you're still wrong. All right, map number 2 is pretty much good to go. It is going to be played on Merry-Go-Round. TaeJa is going to go up against Hendralisk. What will Hendralisk bring to the table? His ZVT, I think, out of the 3 matchups, I think this is his worst matchup. I don't think he's like bad at it. I just don't think. I think his ZVZ is really rock solid. So if Hendralisk would go up against Jigua in this group, I really believe that he has what it takes to bring home the series.
Yeah, I agree.
Which won't be easy because Jigua is also a very strong Zerg. Against Hero, we have seen Hero's PvZ lately, and I must say it looked really solid again, man.
Yeah, the biggest problem for the 2 Zerg players in this group is that one of them, you have to beat TaeJa or Hero to get out of this group. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
If you talk about a bad drawing, perhaps this is one of them for the 2 underdogs. But anything is possible. We've had so many upsets already in WCS America, and today could be the biggest of them all. Either way, we can go ahead and hop into the game as Henry, Complexity's very own Hendralisk, is spawning on the left top side of Merry-Go-Round, waving that Canadian flag with pride. I believe he is a citizen of Toronto, but I could be mistaken.
I feel like most of the people in StarCraft that are from Canada are from the east side of it, right?
It's just, yeah. And I feel like most of them live in Toronto as well, just because Toronto is such a badass city. It only makes sense that they have breeded a lot of good StarCraft 2 players. Yeah, there are not many cities in the world that are as cool as Toronto.
I didn't actually realize that there was a time zone further east than regular East Coast without going across the Atlantic until I heard about like Nova Scotia, man. Those Canadians, they actually have everything there.
Why? What do they have over there?
Well, no, I just mean like there's so many, like the amount of variety that you get. If you want to go up to the wilderness, you can go to northern Canada.
I mean, yeah, it's a large country, Nate. Second largest country in the world.
It is pretty big.
Kappa. Over here on the bottom side of Merry-Go-Round, we have Liquid's very own talent player, is TaeJa. TaeJa, of course, still on the hunt for that WCS championship. You know, I think if things would go really well, I think if just one season we would change the first place finish of WCS from 25k down to 10k. I actually think TaeJa's got it.
TaeJa's like, oh no, TaeJa can't win this tournament because there's too much prize money on the line. He's like, man, it's like I actually have to try for this one. And then you realize that TaeJa's actually at his best when he's like, oh, this isn't even worth that much money. I'm just going to play, accidentally win a couple dream hacks.
Win a couple home story cups.
It's like, oh wait, this one's worth a bit more. Then you discover that when he tries, he actually makes himself worse. It's actually true for some people.
Yeah, I know.
Whenever I'm tryharding, I always play worse.
Yeah, but it's weird as well. Like, I think if you keep tryharding, then eventually it will pay off. But there is indeed like there's
points where you need to be able to calm down, because StarCraft can be a very stressful game at times. I think you don't want to let it overwhelm you too much.
Sometimes you take a step back to take like 3 steps forward, and if you start practicing a lot, you might like lose a few more games. But in the end, the gains are still real. Either way, Hendralisk is starting off mining his gas. So far everything is very standard again on the south side of the map for Liquid's very own TaeJa. Reaper into reactor. Reaper is heading towards the right side of the map as well.
Very standard opening from our Terran player here. Thanks for your tweet. Trolling Booby said he had 2 things he could do: go to bed or watch WCS, and he chose WCS from Denmark.
The passion is very real.
It's pretty late over there.
Denmark is very cool. We were talking about Toronto, but Copenhagen is also very nice. Those cities actually have like something in common, in my opinion. I don't know what exactly. They're both near the water.
I've never been to Denmark. I can't help you out with this one.
It's very similar to Sweden. Don't get mad if I say that, Danish and Swedish people, but it's true. Even though you two feel like you're very different, but you're not. You're both just lovely, wonderful people.
Lots of friendship all around, Roddy. So Zergling speed is the weapon of choice for Hendralisk. He still just has a single drone mining gas, so doesn't really have the makings of anything too ambitious, at least not yet. This Reaper is following an Overlord in the bottom right side. But he's gonna. Oh, okay. He was actually. At first, I wasn't sure why this Reaper was doing this, and then I was like, oh, he's actually gonna get it with the Marines. This map is so good for killing those early Overlords.
The Reaper pathing is really funny, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
you ever see Hellions? Like, Hellions move so fast, but when they're following slow units, they just start and stop 100 times.
Yep. A lot of Zerglings on the production tab for Hendralisk. His speed is about to finish up. He made 18 more. He saw the Marines were out of position. I'm not sure if he saw with his Overlord that there is still no bunker, but this could get a tiny bit tricky for TaeJa. Of course, TaeJa, if he's aware that this is happening.
Roach Warren too. He's getting ready for a follow-up attack with this build order.
It's Roach Bane, Nate.
Oh, man.
At the start of the game.
Roach Bane pain train, Roddy. It's coming.
I don't really like the way that Hendralisk is engaged so far with the Zerglings. This might be the engagement he was looking for.
That choke point, though. Oh, this Hellions got such a good splash. The Marines were really helping out, but he's killing the Hellions.
Zerglings.
The Hellions are the key part to this. The Reaper's going to go down, I think, as well.
Everything is going to go down on the low ground.
All the standing forces he has to lose. He's going to lose everything on the low ground, and he only has 2 command centers. So I think Hendralisk has already done as much damage as he needs. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go back into drones and forget about the roaches.
Yeah, that's okay. Well,
a couple defensive. I'd like a couple defensive, but I really feel like he doesn't need to build more than 6.
I think he's going to go all out with this one. It's still TaeJa, though, Nate. You want to try to kill him when he's weak. You don't want to let him recover and sort of come back into this game. TaeJa's just going to send out an empty medevac to scout. He wants to know what he's up against. Armory is going down for TaeJa. That's surprising after he just lost all his Hellions, Nate.
It's like, well, even if I have half as many Hellions, those Hellbats will still kill all the Zerglings if they're in a good choke point. Look at using the medevac to scout.
I'm a little bit surprised by that. Why would he get the Armory in this phase in the game?
He wants to. Well, he was probably intending to do a big Hellbat push.
Okay,
TaeJa's actually started to mix this in a little bit more. He's getting more cheeky. Maybe he doesn't want to play those long games with his wrists hurting.
Nope. Well, Bailingness is going down in the back of the natural of Hendralisk, and I really believe that he can make this work. TaeJa definitely took some economic damage early on there. He lost 4 SCVs, but above all, he lost all his Hellions, he lost his Marines. He won't have the same amount of units to deal with this crazy push. It's 11 Roaches. Right now, it's only 3 Marines and 5 Hellions. Nate, if this wasn't TaeJa, you would say that the Terran player is dead.
Yeah, this is a very difficult position to be in for TaeJa. I think Hendralisk is in a great spot. to even things up. But TaeJa's going to go for a counterattack during all of this. He has the third command center on the way.
And Hendralisk is completely unaware of this. Most of his units are out of position. The roaches will start chipping away at this bunker. This bunker will fall. Here are the Hellions. Actually, there are a couple of Zerglings just to sort of take care of it. And he traps 2 of them immediately. Hendralisk with the plays. Nate.
Yeah, he's still killing drones, though, TaeJa. These Hellions had one job, and one job alone, to kill workers. He's up to 9 this game. I believe all those were from that.
He's running up. I really thought he would just go all out. It's 40 army supply against 13. Hendralisk, I think he should just build nothing but units. And TaeJa can't even be bothered. GG is called, and Hendralisk will upset Liquid TaeJa on merry-go-round after a crazy amount of, after quite a few Zerglings early on. Made 20 links in a phase in the game where you didn't really expect it to happen, was able to pick off the majority of the Hellions, picked off a few SCVs, picked off a few Marines, and followed it up with the Roach Bane. TaeJa just had to look at it and he said, that's all I want to see.
Yeah, I think...
Or maybe that's all I don't want to see.
TaeJa's done this before, though, hasn't he? He'll be down or behind in a game, and then he says, instead of dragging, he was the anti-Marine King or the anti-Fantasy, 2 players that basically just never leave games. And I think he said, hey, I could probably win the next game a little bit more easily than this one. I don't want to spend my time because I think I'm going to lose. So TaeJa's usually a confident guy, confident enough to say that he won't even drag that one out.
Yeah, TaeJa wants to be careful though, because like an absolute doom scenario for Liquid would be if TaeJa ends up losing the first match and somehow Jigua upsets Hero again, because then the Liquid players are going to have to go up against each other with their tournament lives on the line. So I think for Team Liquid, looking at it from a Liquid point of view, it is really important that either of these guys just wins their upper bracket match immediately. It doesn't really matter if they play against each other or not, but you know, if TaeJa would lose here, it is extremely essential for Hero to win, because the last thing you want to see is a Hero TaeJa in the round of 32 with one of them dropping out.
Oh man, what a crazy match that would be.
Like, I think Hero will be a little...
TaeJa's taken away crowns from Hero this year in tournaments too, which has been pretty nuts.
But Hero still holds the crown of being the only player ever to defeat TaeJa in the tournament final.
Is that actually true? He's never lost a grand final to anybody except Hero.
He's 11-1 in finals. He only lost against Hero in DreamHack Winter 2012.
Wow.
Maybe it was 2011.
That is a fast fact I did not know. That is pretty impressive.
That's why I'm here, Nate.
But what about when
you know
he was...
the score? 4-0.
Ouch. Well, he traded that one back during DreamHack summer this year.
I know,
so.
he definitely returned the favor a couple of times.
I say more than a couple times.
Even at the Home Story Cup, I remember, I think he defeated Hero 3-0 in the quarterfinals, and then they played again. TaeJa definitely had Hero's number for a while. I do think that Hero eventually beat TaeJa in an online tournament that Johan and me hosted earlier this year called the Wearer.com. I think that's where Hero got his revenge on TaeJa.
Yeah. I think I was out of the country for that. I didn't get to see it.
That's right. You were not there. You lost your passion.
I was casting something else. What does this mean? So, guys, map number 3 is going to be King Sejong Station. A map that's pretty good for roaches, Roddy. Are we going to see the roaches?
Just making sure that both players are ready. We don't want to start the game without one of them saying go, and then they get mad at me, and that's the last thing we want to see here. WCS America, if you guys just joined us, welcome. You're watching the very first series of the day. This is the second last group of round of 32. So by the end of tomorrow, we will know our 16 players. And, you know, Nate, a lot of people have been asking, or not a lot, but I got a couple of tweets already from the diehard fans out there. It's like, hey, what about the group drawings? Last season, you guys promised us something. Last season, you guys said that we didn't have enough time to do a group drawing show, but you said you would do it for for the final season, and you guys were going to do the round of 16 drawings live, and we are going to do that. That's going to happen at the end of tomorrow's broadcast.
It's going to happen, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're people of our word, Nate.
Yeah.
If we say something...
We have the technology. It's possible. We can do it, and we will. So by the end of tomorrow, you will know who's playing each other in the round of 16. We'll have all the groups laid out.
The commish might make an appearance.
Yeah, that sweet mustache.
The stash. We know that you guys missed the stash.
My stash could only hope to live up to one day be as glorious as the commish.
Alrighty, yeah, we just have to rehost the game real quick as our game crashed. Happens to the best of us. Shouldn't be a big deal. So once more, this is game 3 between TaeJa and Hendralisk. The winner of this series will move on to play against the winner of Jigua and Hero. You guys might look at this group and you say, nah, easy victory for the Liquid boys. But again, earlier this season, or earlier this year, I should say, Jigua has already defeated Hero once, and that was an elimination match. Hero has not made it a single time to the round of 16, so it's a really big day for him, especially because he's hovering around like the 20th spot in the WCS rankings. And Liquid Hero, Nate, especially like him being A, such a good Protoss player, and B, being a type of player that gets sent to a lot of foreign events as well, you expect him to have enough WCS points to make it to a BlizzCon.
Yeah, I think there's probably a good amount of Hero fans, Team Liquid fans out there that would really like to see Hero make it to BlizzCon. Of course, he did get in last year. I think some kind folk was sending me some messages. There's some people out there that just keep track of tournaments much better than I. TaeJa was eliminated by Deer in BlizzCon last year, and Hero was eliminated by SOS.
Yeah, I didn't remember. Actually, I remember that as well, because I know that that was the phase in the year where Hero was really not looking forward to PvPs. Well, he doesn't have to worry about PvPs today. And in every single tournament, whether it was Oz or, SOS, he just kept matching up against Protoss players. He lost like four tournaments in the time span of like 2 months, all because of PvP. And he was really sad. And like, I remember like doing some analysis with him over the games as well. It seems like both players are ready, so I'm just going to say good luck and fun. And like, every single time he would look at all these games of his opponents and he would have a good idea. Like, so he can do this or this. The only thing that he won't do is open up with a quick Stargate, because that's just not really how he plays. And then I'm casting the game. All right, well, guys, it's unlikely that the opponent of Hero is going to open up with a quick Stargate. Bam, quick Stargate. Like, poor Hero. He kept getting wrecked by every single Protoss out there. Just like he got very unfortunate as well. Either way, that was then. This is now. Both players, of course, we kind of expect them to make it to BlizzCon once more. Both TaeJa and Hero. TaeJa is looking very good. Hero, on the other end, not looking, well, he's not out of it yet, but he needs to move on further. And again, our game lobby crashes, by the way. We're not just talking about random facts from a year ago for fun.
We're not intentionally stalling for time.
Exactly. This is not because we're so full of ourselves that we want to see our faces on camera a little longer and we hold the game from you guys. Apparently the game just crashed twice, so we're going to try it one more time. Third time's a charm. But yeah, you guys be sending in your tweets. Of course, keep the tweets coming. Hashtag WCS. Another tweet from the Pee-wee dude as well, I believe, who said that the WCS chat is a little crazy tonight, Nate.
Yeah, I can't imagine what would have you guys watching online so riled up.
Yes.
It's pretty nuts.
I mean, we have been on camera quite a bit lately, so maybe that's why.
We have been casting a lot of StarCraft. There's been a lot of StarCraft. In fact, there will be more. What we've got Group G today. We have the final group tomorrow of round 32, the group drawings, and then Battlegrounds Online qualifier starts up, and then right after that is the IEM Toronto and Red Bull
For
Detroit.
the people who wonder, like, how does the life of a StarCraft commentator look? Because it feels like I've been watching you two a lot lately. Well, last week we started off on Sunday with an IEM qualifier. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we did WCS. Thursday was our rest day, but we had to bring people to the airport and pick up Litot. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday we just wrapped up the Battlegrounds Global offline event. DRG won it, so very awesome to see our old school Zerg winning it. Then yesterday, today, and tomorrow is WCS once more. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is going to be Battlegrounds Online. You guys can all participate in that as well if you just go to battlegrounds.redbull.com. You find information about how to sign up for the tournaments, what you need to be. I don't know all the details, but I believe that it's pretty much open to everybody, and the entire tournament will be played online. So if you guys are not sick of us yet, you can watch us today, tomorrow, and the next 5 days. And then we have 1 day off, and then we're flying to Detroit. And then after Detroit, there's 1 day off, and then IEM Toronto shows up. Hashtag a live game.
Just StarCraft nonstop. If you happen to have somehow stumbled into this channel watching WCS and are in fact a StarCraft fan, there's a lot more StarCraft coming up. But
yeah, and we're still building up as well to that final, to the big final later this year. But it's just like there are DreamHacks coming up as well in Europe. You know, WCS Europe still has the full season ahead of us. WCS America, we're not even halfway through technically. Like we're still in the round of 32. GSL Code S is looking so good this season. And then we're going to have at least 2 more Red Bull events, basically 3, 1 online and 1 offline, Battlegrounds Detroit, IEMs. It's actually insane. Like, I think at the end, after our BlizzCon final, I think every StarCraft 2 fan actually needs to just go to like rehab and like force themselves to not watch anything for a week, because after BlizzCon, we have really been overdoing it this year.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, oh man, I can't.
Like, no matter how fun it all is, Nate.
I end up checking, under my pillow for like burrowed banelings. Yeah. Like every time I step outside, and like, is there a widow mine under my placement mat?
What are all these stalkers doing in the street?
Yeah, you have a case of StarCraft overdose, my good friend.
Alrighty, so we are finally loaded into the final series of the day. We apologize that took a little longer than expected, but a couple of game lobbies crashed. Fortunately, that's not the case anymore. So we can finally go ahead with game number 3. As complexities, Hendralisk is our blue Zerg spawning in the right bottom side. Of course, wrapping that beautiful Canadian flag. The good old maple leaf. Hendralisk is also known as an actual god of maple syrup.
That's true.
His special ability, if he would be a superhero, would be to turn into a bottle of maple syrup. And
not sure how useful that is in your practical everyday
Imagine
life,
like all the Marines are stimming in and you just like drizzle maple syrup all over them and they're stuck. And then your banelings roll in. It's like, imagine if you could change fungal growth into maple syrup.
That's a new skin we need. Let's get on that, devs. In the top left position, we have the red Terran player representing Team Liquid. He is TaeJa.
TaeJa has shown us in the past that the round of 32, Nate, for some people it's like the biggest day of the year. Like just last week we had Ariam playing in the round of 32 and he was so stoked, so pumped, so excited, so nervous. It's really funny as well to see the contrast between these two. Between one, the established pro gamer who has won hundreds and thousands of dollars, and then like the new kid on the block that's just trying to make a name for himself. And TaeJa, the round of 32 for him, definitely not meant condescending towards the round of 32, but for him it's almost like a formality, Nate. It's like he doesn't really sweat it, doesn't really...
He doesn't sweat it, but he oftentimes still drops like his first series.
Yeah, I know.
It's really weird.
But you expect him to actually like be shocked from those experiences and stuff, but no.
This is where you get into like really weird like odds when you're trying to look at groups for fantasy. Because you actually shouldn't pick TaeJa to ever get out first in the group.
Yeah, because
TaeJa will get out, but he will almost always lose the first series. I'm starting to get some weird voodoo level feelings that Hendralisk is going to win this best of 3 just because TaeJa has to get out second.
It's possible, but then I really hope for Liquid Hero that he's not going to lose against Jigua. Otherwise, here the Team Liquid team chat in Skype tonight is going to be a little rustled. Somebody might just leave the conversation, right?
Wouldn't be fun.
Nope.
At least, well, probably not for the Protoss player. TaeJa's got a pretty good record against Protosses lately.
Yep, and also against Hero. Either way, he's not there yet, and of course, I do expect that the managers of Liquid have probably been hammering like, guys, just please win your matches, make sure whatever you do, don't team kill each other. It's basically like, when you're watching a Formula 1 race, and you have both drivers driving first and second, and you're like, alright guys, you guys can race, but just please don't crash into each other, so instead of having everything, we have nothing. That's pretty much how I guess Liquid is looking at this group.
Yeah. Reaper's coming in, doing a bit of poking. Of course, he'd like to kill a few Zerglings. 2 kills, not terrible. Did he see the gas? Yes, so he knows pretty much everything that he needs to. Zergling speed is going to be choice once again for Hendralisk.
Are you expecting a big swell of Zerglings once more, or where is Henry gonna take this? Like, we know by now that it's very, very unlikely that Henry is just gonna go nothing but build drones, go up to 3 bases, then take a 9-minute, 30-second fort. Like, it's unlikely he's gonna do that against TaeJa, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it took a game off TaeJa. That doesn't change the fact that you had to use an aggressive build to do it, and that it's still, I think, a matchup where you're heavily, I guess, unfavored because in the late game TaeJa is so good. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe it's just a slightly later form of aggression. He's still only building drones.
Yeah, so far it's nothing but drones. Of course, TaeJa's perhaps a little bit paranoid after that, after that game. Last game, it's like TaeJa's like, alright, again, one of these foreign Zergs. It's gonna try to catch me off guard. It's gonna try to play into the meta when I move out with not that many units, but the Zerg is not supposed to have that many units. And then suddenly, I get surprised. They surround my units and they win. Well, that's a one-trick pony. That's not gonna work again for you. It's a very quick tech lab next to this barrack, so this could be that quick stim opening by TaeJa.
Yeah, this just looks like a super standard 3 command center, double engineering bay, Terran versus Zerg opening. This is about as this is about as cookie cutter as a build gets for Terran versus Zerg at the moment.
I mean, there are some different variances where they don't get the quick
Yeah,
pick
he
up.
could get his second and third barracks a little bit earlier if he's concerned about the possibility of being hit with another fast attack, but he should be able to get a good read that this is a much more standard game from the Zerg player, at least for now.
He's able to pick off a creep tumor there, I believe. It's really hard to say whether the creep tumor got cancelled or not, but
I mean,
we still have one active tumor. But
yeah, I think that one was killed, actually.
Yeah,
the other tumor doesn't have its ability to put one down again.
I think one of them, yeah, exactly, I think you're spot on. I think one of the creep tumors got cancelled and the other one got picked off. So a little bit for either side. Scan goes down in the main base. What does TaeJa see? TaeJa's a little bit freaked out, Nate. Drops the scan. He saw Zerglings working on this debris. He saw the Baneling nest. He saw quite a few Zerglings. But above all, he sees a lot of drones. And Hendralisk is still building nothing but drones.
Now he's building a Roach Warren. This is actually going to get interesting, whether to see if he gets his evolution chambers.
I mean, TaeJa's definitely a little paranoid. Look at all the units that he was still keeping on the defensive side of the map.
So he got his barracks before his engineering base too.
Exactly. So Hendralisk actually has got in TaeJa's mind just a tiny bit. So even though it looked like he wasn't sweating it, TaeJa's playing this game like he cares, like he definitely just doesn't want to lose it. Probably just wants to play 2 best of 3s today and be done. Because this is a very, very passive little setup by him.
Yeah.
He is paranoid as hell.
Roach Warren and double evolution chambers as he gets his lair together. I'm not entirely sure where Hendralisk wants to go with this.
I'm a little bit worried now for Hendralisk because there are still 8 Hellions on the map and he has nothing but 9 Zerglings currently. 9 Zerglings is just not going to cut it against 8 Hellions. We have a few Banelings on the way. He has the Queens, of course, and he has a few Roaches. If those Roaches are out, as long as Hendralisk can keep these Hellions at bay from TaeJa, then this game has actually started off very well for him. And this time, Nate, it's straight up macro.
Yeah, I like this though because
with a mental advantage for Hendralisk.
Yeah, he squeezed out so many drones at this point that he could be giving himself a little bit of a lead as far as this overall matchup goes. Like if he thinks he can't beat TaeJa straight up, you don't have to always, go for the aggressive, some sort of, attack. You could go for a very big economic play.
Yep, and after that last game, that was actually a perfect play by Hendralisk, because it's very hard to imagine that you can just catch TaeJa off guard twice. But now Hendralisk actually got away with, I think, more greed than you would normally get away with against TaeJa. I think he's going to have slightly better creep spread as well, because most of the Hellions stayed at bay all the time. TaeJa is going to be able to pick up on the fact that, like, wow, that's a very quick forward base, and hey, brother, that's pretty close to where my Marines are supposed to walk, so I hope for you that you're capable of defending it in the near future, and that's going to be, this area over here is going to be the most crucial one in the game, I guess.
I mean, haven't we seen it before? The big pushes that come down towards this right side, you force the fight in a very nice position to defend something like your third base, but TaeJa's got his armory. These Hellions are becoming Hellbats, man.
Yeah, I really don't want to see any more drones from Hendralisk. I want to see nothing but units if he wants to make sure he doesn't die against the first attack of TaeJa, because this is still TaeJa, and there is a chance he's going to be able to split his Marines off creep. And the moment he's able to do that, Nate, he's going to get a little dicey.
He's going to be... Hendralisk is going to be in a really bad position if he has to fight TaeJa off creep. TaeJa, generally not a player that messes up his splits too much. Will those wrists, though, hurt things?
Well, the initial spread is good by TaeJa. The initial engagement of this fight is good. A lot of additional Banelings did more. Baneling speed is ready in 10 seconds. It's not going to be in time to save this head, so I'm not even sure if I really like this fight now by Hendralisk. He doesn't really have to, but okay, well now Baneling speed is ready, so these Banelings getting close to the Marines, but good pickups by TaeJa.
I mean, he killed the fourth base. There wasn't anything else that TaeJa actually had to do there during that fight. No. His 2-2 upgrades are ahead right now. He's getting his mech attack upgrade for his Hellbats, and I like this. TaeJa actually going Bio Hellbat, which is cool to see. I feel like not too many people will do this recently, especially since that patch that buffed the Widowmine.
Still 4 Hellbats remaining. I mean, Hendralisk still has plenty of units to work with. He's down a tiny bit in army supply, but he does have 1-1 upgrades, so they're actually even in upgrades. He never started +2 melee attack. I hope it's not something he forgot. I think he just didn't have the money for it, as he's pretty broke, as we can see in the production tab. Why would you get armor before attack as a Zerg, Nate?
Because you misclicked, Roddy.
Okay.
I'm not sure there's too many. I can't find too many ways to justify it unless you're playing Roach, Ling, Bane. But he is not really building any more Roaches. Those are just the same 3 ones he had at the start of the game.
Now he's starting this +2 attack as well for the Zerglings and the Banelings. It's still going to be tricky. All these Hellbats are definitely a little annoying. Hellbats have quite a bit of HP. They soak up a lot of these Banelings. This, of course, what TaeJa would love to see. 102 army supply for our Terran.
I like this. You know, he pokes forward. He's getting ready. He's building Thors now. His Blue Flame is about to finish. His 2/2 is about to finish. And if he waits for the +2 upgrades and Blue Flame, I think with the upgrade advantage that he would have in a straight-up fight, that's when I get really worried for Hendralisk.
He does have a nice amount of Banelings though, 28. It's also the, he made so many Banelings that, like, trading in the next fight is not really an option. Like, Hendralisk kind of needs to murder TaeJa and be able to do economic damage immediately on the other side of the map, cancel the fort, and I don't know what not. He has a couple of Mutalisks all the way on the left bottom side of this map. He only has 8 of them. It's unlikely to think that there is a world where 8 Mutalisks are going to make the difference. All the Banelings are rolling in, Nate.
These Marines and Marauders are so well upgraded. He will be able to get on top of a lot of these forces, but you don't need too much left over for a Terran to win a fight like this, because these Marines, as few as there may be now, he still has more than enough to knock this 4th base once again, and GG is called. TaeJa is going to advance 2-1 to the winner's bracket here as a WCS America Group G.
Yeah, I got caught out of position game number 2 on merry-go-round, but boy, did he look solid again in game 3, Nate. Even played it very passive. I think you could see he was a tiny bit paranoid about, you know, what is next. He's like, all right, I played against his Zerg twice. Obviously, he's a little crazy. I'm expecting craziness again in game number 3. Hendralisk played into that very well by actually just going for a very economic opening, and TaeJa, being as defensive as he was able to get away with it. But I wonder how this game would have played out is, instead of taking the 4th base on the right side, if he takes it in the left bottom. Do you think he has an easier time? Because then I don't think he's going to lose it the very first time.
The creep naturally pushes towards there, so you may... Like, it's a good point. I'm starting to wonder why Zerg players would do that in this matchup. I can see why that base is nice against the Protoss, because of that more open choke point. Like, you just have more space outside of the 4th, so it's a bit more difficult to force field off. But otherwise, it is quite difficult, I think. I'm honestly not sure, because he should have started spreading creep there earlier if you wanted to have that base.
I feel it's one of these bases that sometimes can go undetected for, you know, just like the additional minutes, and that makes it a little bit easier for Zerg to hang on to. But obviously, TaeJa is going to be on top of everything that's going on. Either way, with all the game lobbies crashing and stuff that we had to deal with, we're going to keep it short. We're going to throw to a very small commercial break, and after that, we'll be back for our 2nd series of today, where once more we have a Liquid player, and this time it's our hero going up against the Chinese Zerg player that's representing Invictus Gaming. It's Jigwa. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with much more StarCraft.